Ladies and gentlemen, we just got some massive breaking news. You see, right now, as we speak, the left is protesting against Chuck Schumer. That's right, the Democrats have turned against their own Senate Minority Leader. Now, as you all might remember, Chuck Schumer was the one who ultimately decided to call off the government shutdown on behalf of all the Democrats. And let me tell you something, folks, that decision is not sitting well with members of the progressive left. You see, what the majority of the Democrats actually wanted to do was shut down the government in an attempt to derail President Trump's America First agenda. But Chuck Schumer, for once in his life, actually did the smart thing. He correctly realized that if the Democrats actually went through with shutting down the government, they'd be screwing over millions of Americans nationwide, their national approval ratings would drop even lower than they already are, and at that point, the entire Democratic Party would probably collapse. Seriously, if the government had been shut down, people would have been pissed, and guess who they would have blamed? The Democrats. So in a very rare moment of clarity, Chuck Schumer actually made the right decision, at least from the Democrat perspective. But you know what? Here's the problem, and I know this might be hard to believe, but most of Chuck Schumer's fellow Democrats aren't as smart as he is. They don't understand that what Chuck Schumer did was actually the best possible play as far as the Democrats are concerned to save the party from total collapse. And so now they're looking to throw him under the bus. In fact, take a look at this.
Then the top Democrat in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, going as far as not saying he has confidence in Chuck Schumer. That was a remarkable moment on Friday. Now, we have learned that Schumer and Jeffries did meet behind closed doors yesterday in Brooklyn, trying to get back on the same page. They have huge and consequential fights ahead, but the backlash from the left is real. In fact, Wolf, Chuck Schumer was scheduled to do a book tour in a number of cities on a book that he has authored on anti-Semitism. He has just canceled that book tour, we are learning, because of protests that were scheduled from activist groups who wanted to go after his decision to agree and allow the government funding bill to go forward to avoid a government shutdown. They were furious at his decision to do that. It just shows you the anger on the left and the Democratic Party. Can they get it back together at this key moment when they are essentially leaderless in a lot of ways, essentially don't have a strategy on how to fight back against Trump, and have all this unrest on the Democratic base? That's going to be a big question for Schumer, but interesting that he decided to cancel this event. They're citing security concerns, but there were these large-scale protests, at least some protests scheduled outside these events.
Folks, did you catch that? Chuck Schumer just canceled his own book tour because of security concerns over members of his own party protesting and rioting outside of his events. All because he refused to go along with shutting down the federal government. Honestly, folks, I hate that this whole situation makes Chuck Schumer, of all people, look like the smart one here, because as you all know, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of Chuck Schumer. But holy cow, these radical progressives in the Democratic Party are so unhinged, so insane. They've all got such severe cases of Trump derangement syndrome that now they're literally protesting against their own Senate Minority Leader. Now, folks, there's a lot more to talk about here, but before we move on, I want to say real quick that if you guys enjoy the daily news coverage, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton with my daily struggle against the YouTube algorithm. But okay, so what else is going on with all of this?
And it all comes, we should note, as the Democratic Party's favorability rating hit an all-time low, right? What's behind this?
Yeah, this is the lowest in CNN's polling in the last 30 years, a real warning sign for the Democratic Party right now. And it's really driven in large part, not just, as you can see on your screen, that 29% of voters have a favorable view of the Democratic Party. That is among all voters. But when you drill down into the numbers, Pamela and Wolf, the real issue is among Democratic voters themselves. They are starting to lose more and more confidence with their own party.
You see that, folks? According to CNN's own poll, only 29% of the country has a favorable view of the Democratic Party. And so, how did the Democrats respond to that information? Well, first they wanted to shut down the government. Then, when that plan didn't work, they decided to start rioting and protesting against their own senior-ranking politicians. But folks, that's not the only thing that's happening here. You see, right now, amongst the Democrats, there's a growing desire to start replacing some of these older politicians, people like Chuck Schumer, with younger, more radical progressives. And so let me ask you guys a question. Who's another prominent Democrat from New York who could potentially primary Chuck Schumer for his seat in the Senate. That's right, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Take a look at this.
You're close with Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. Some of your fellow House Democrats say, and not just progressives, by the way, we've heard that moderates have said this too, that they're ready to support her to challenge Chuck Schumer in a Democratic primary. Would you get behind that?
That's 4 years from now. If you were asking me at least in 2 years, then I would have an absolute answer. But I can tell you that there are a lot of people that are watching his leadership in this moment. This is the moment. We don't even know what elections will look like in 4 years, if we will have elections. And so I definitely think that younger, fresher leadership may be something that many of us, not just depending on what part of the spectrum you're on, but many Americans may be looking for, especially in the state of New York.
So, folks, there you have it. Without a doubt, the progressive plan is to have these younger, radical progressive politicians start replacing the old guard in the Democratic Party. And who's on the top of that list? AOC. But you know what? Did you all catch what Congresswoman Crockett slipped in there? I don't even know if we'll have an election in 4 years. What with Donald Trump being a literal fascist dictator and all. Folks, once again, this is just further proof that these radical progressive Democrats are completely unhinged. In reality, they can't even go 60 seconds without fear-mongering. It's all they know how to do. But you know what? Here's the truth. Everything we're talking about right now, this is why the Democratic Party is imploding. And you know what? The party isn't just collapsing. No, they're literally eating each other alive. Right now, there's pretty much a full-blown civil war happening inside the Democratic Party at this very moment. And honestly, I'd put money on the radical progressives winning that Democratic civil war. But you know what? Here's the thing. Does that mean that they're going to be winning any major elections anytime soon? Absolutely not. We all know that the progressive platform is massively unpopular, and that's what makes all of this so incredibly hilarious. The Democrats just suffered a catastrophic loss in the 2024 election. And why? Because of their insane progressive ideology that no one wants. But folks, here's the really funny part. What's their solution? Oh, to double down and become even more progressive. Absolutely incredible. But hey, you know what they say? When your enemy is making a mistake, don't interrupt them. So hey, you know what, folks? As all of this chaos unfolds in the Democratic Party, we should all be comfortable just sitting on the sidelines, watching it happen. Now, folks, before we wrap up with today's video, I want to say real quick that I've actually gone ahead and made a community Facebook page where I'll be posting additional news and updates as it relates to all of this. So if you guys use Facebook, check out the pinned comment down below and give that page a follow. But everyone, that is going to be a wrap for today's video, so please go down below in the comment section and let me know what you think about all of this chaos and drama that's unfolding in the Democratic Party right now. Please like the video if you liked it. Like I said earlier, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton. Thank you all very much for tuning in today, and of course, as always, stay safe.